WROK, my dear Greg Saunders.
Gregory.
Eagle looking great, you're go.
And we're rolling, Gregory.
Greg Saunders.
Wow. Hey, great.
Show us the skills that have made you a media darling.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Welcome, 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 welcome to the Saturday Morning Stateline Show.
You know what, guys? NASA is the paparazzi of the real stars. It's the 29th day of July, the year 2023, the latest it has ever been.
And I say, in the history of the world, or mankind.
Yeah, there you go. I'm Greg, he's Tom. I can see your video now, Tom, but I don't know how long this is going to last. So, Good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to the Norwegian Jewel. Norwegian Cruise Lines is where I find myself this morning in Glacier Bay National Park. And I'm going to try to show you some video of where I'm at. We're currently parked, I believe. I don't know where I'm moving. We are moving a little bit now, I can tell. Last night, as my wife and I were roaming around the ship, we stayed up really late last night, so I've only been sleeping for a few hours. It's 5 a.m. here in Alaska. And last night was our latest night of our vacation. We've been here in Alaska for the week and seeing some incredible sights. But last night was one of those, we did 3 excursions at our 3 ports of call that we are on this week-long cruise with Norwegian Cruise Lines. And we were in Ketchikan, Alaska, the first day, which we took an excursion to a place called Majestic Fjords. Mm-hmm. And let me tell you something. This was one of the most incredible things I'd ever seen in my life. The boat that we were on off of the ship, we got off the ship, went to shore, checked out Ketchikan just a little bit, and then got on this boat with about 100 other people, but it's a much smaller boat than a cruise ship, obviously, and drove to a place called Majestic Fjords, and it was like being in a movie scene. It was incredible. These mountains that go right into the ocean with these waterfalls and smooth rock, and it was just absolutely insane how beautiful this place was. So can't highly recommend enough. Ketchikan, Alaska, going to the Mystic Fjords. In Juneau, Alaska, we did a whale watching excursion. We spent a couple hours out in a bay where humpback whales feed. And
did you get
so we saw a pod of humpback whales.
Yeah, did you get to see them doing their little Pacific Life thing?
Pretty much. Now, nothing that actually jumped out of the water completely, but we saw lots of tails. And when they do their bubble feeding, oftentimes a few of them will actually come up out of the water, with their snouts, with their front ends, not their tails. And it's really, really cool. We had a really cool experience there in Juneau, Alaska for that. And then yesterday, we spent the day in Skagway and took a railway car through the White Pines Pass, which used to be used to get gold and ore and stuff out of the White Pines north of Skagway, but now it's a tourist. Since 1988, it's been used as a tourist railway. It's not a full-size train car with the four. What's it called? Was it 5 foot wide? How wide is it? Normal train tracks, 3.5, 4 foot wide. I forget how wide a normal train track.
They're probably a little wider than you think. I'd probably say it's 5 foot wide at least.
Yeah, a normal train has like a 16-foot wide bed that the track sits on, and the tracks themselves are like 4.5 or 5 feet apart.
Yeah,
with the big cars. This has the 3-foot wide rails, and takes you. So the cars themselves are a little bit smaller, but now it's just used for tourists. But anyway, it's been a wonderful time up here in Alaska, and my big number of the week for you this week has nothing to do with Alaska or this ship. So let's see if we can do a big number of the week this week before we go any further. I think that worked.
I heard the weird sounder.
Awesome. Our big number of the week, by the way, our current race to 10 has Tom and Joann tied at 3 points apiece. And our big number of the week this week is 7,900. I know, not that great of a number, but it's the big number of the week. Caribbean or Cameo is our answer. And provided I still have a Wi-Fi connection by the end of the show, we're going to give you the answer coming up. So stick around for that. I'm just actually sitting right now in the game room of the Norwegian Jewel cruise line ship here. And I got your text answer already, Tom. That's amazing. When we were in Skagway for the day yesterday, our cell service was it was nothing. And our Wi-Fi for the ship was also nothing. And the reason being was we were basically in a fjord. Skagway is in a fjord surrounded by mountains, and the technology they use, whatever technology they use to get a Wi-Fi signal in the first place, was unavailable here. Mm-hmm. So in Skagway. Yeah, I really couldn't do hardly anything at all yesterday that I normally like to do on my phone. But today, at least right now, is different. So 7,900 is the big number of the week. Caribbean or Cameo is your answer. But obviously, I did not book a guest this week because I had no clue if we were going to be able to do a show.
Yeah, right.
But we've got viewers, so obviously it's working. Good morning, viewers. For those just waking up and tuning in, it's 5 a.m. here in Alaska, and I'm in the Glacier Bay National Park, where today they're going to have rangers on board with us today, National Park rangers, describing what we're seeing as we're driving by it for a few hours, from like 8:30 to 8 or 9:30 till a little after noon. Glacier Bay is roughly the size of Connecticut.
Wow.
3.2 million acres, established in February of 1925, and there's a number of glaciers in the park, about 1,045 different glaciers. 50 of them are named, probably ones that actually dump into the ocean and such. But at the deepest point here in the Glacier Bay National Park, the deepest point in sea level is over 1,400 feet. So I don't think I'm going to go swimming. Also,
yeah, it's
also
got to be pretty cool.
Temperature. Yeah, the temperature of the water is at best something like 48 degrees or something like that. It's cold. Right. It's very cold.
Not to put a damper on your vacation, but the Titanic sunk when it hit a glacier, right?
These glaciers are a little different.
Oh, okay.
These glaciers are not big hunks of ice in the bay. These glaciers are super packed snow that are flowing down rivers, or flowing down mountains like rivers, only they're doing it extremely slowly. And if we get lucky, we'll be in an area where we actually get to see a chunk of ice, let go off the edge of the glacier and fall into the ocean.
All right, so
someone we were talking to
of snow flowing, really hard with edges. I believe they do call that ice. I don't know. It's
just a little bit different, and some of the areas, the glacial snowpack looks blue, and because the light that hits it absorbs the yellows and the reds, and the red, they can't get out of the ice pack themselves, but the blue color of the spectrum is the only color that can really escape, so it looks very blue. I don't know if we're going to see that today, but in some of the other glaciers that we've passed so far on our way up here, that's what it looks like. So it's been a pretty incredible journey so far, and we're really enjoying our time here on the Jewel for Norwegian Cruise Lines. This has been a trip, by the way, 3.5 years in the making. This was supposed to be my wife and I's 25th anniversary trip in the year 2020 in that summer. You're not going to believe what happened in the year 2020.
Oh, yeah, man.
Some of you are going to be too young to remember that in 2020, there was this thing they called a pandemic. And yeah, pretty much tourist stuff got canceled pretty much the entire year. So we rebooked for the next year, and then some rules didn't change enough for us to go on the trip, so we rebooked again in 2022. Still had problems. Finally, here we are 3 years later on this bucket list dream trip of a lifetime in Alaska. We're having a ball. We are having a ball.
Well, happy 28th anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I see here. I printed out some stuff to share today just in case we're able to do a show. And I think Joann might have already joined us. I'm going to see if she's there. See, you're on here twice again, Tom. So I'm going to see if I can get rid of one of your things here. If I bump you off, jump back on. So there's going to go. See, I have Joann's. It says Joann is there, but I don't see Joann. So I'm going to see.
Well, I no longer see you now. I saw you, and it was double voice, whatever. But almost like echoey, not like a half second or 3/4 of a second. It was like almost instantaneous, but it was a double voice, like I was hearing you in stereo. Now I don't have the video, but the voice is okay.
Okay.
So I'm good either way.
Okay. Well, as I've mentioned in the past, we use the Restream platform, and with Restream, I'm allowed to be on up to 30 different streams at one time. I'm on 4, YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, the Facebook personal, and a tweet has gone out to let people know on my Twitter feed that I'm online right now. And later, provided I can actually make it happen, it probably won't happen until sometime when I get back to Rockford, I'll be able to get our show back up on Spotify as well as recorded in its recorded form. So yeah, I'm going to see if I can bring Joann on and if she can hear me. Hello, Joann, are you there?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning, Joann.
I was going to say,
it's a funny.
We went to Alaska for our 20th anniversary also. You know, the marriage didn't last, but the trip to Alaska was one of my fondest memories. It's like out of this
So you had a
world.
great time in Alaska,
Yes.
and you're warning me that my marriage might be over soon.
No, I didn't say that. I just
Okay, I know.
telling you what happened to me.
Thank you.
I still, I mean, it's been a long time since we went, but it still was one of my fondest memories.
Little confirmation that the Facebook stream is working just fine. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate you. Thanks for tuning in today. Yeah, it's. I really want to move about the ship a little bit and show off some of the stuff that we're able to see. I don't think it's currently raining. It rained. They told us before we came out on the ship, before we traveled up to Alaska. They told us, be ready. It's probably going to rain most of your trip because it rains like 280 plus days out of the year here in Alaska. And quite frankly, you can kind of see what's going on outside now. We have had some of the best weather that they've had all year. It's been sunny and 65 to 70 degrees all the days that we've been up here so far. Just absolutely gorgeous. And our tour guides and people on the ship here are like, yeah, you guys are lucky. Normally we're wearing rain gear at least, 2 or 3 days of this trip.
Did you bring rain gear?
And we brought some parkas, some cheapo, $1 Dollar General parkas in case we had to throw them on. So they've been in my wife's purse the whole time waiting to be used. And we bought a couple of small umbrellas. Haven't had to show them the light of day yet. It's been wonderful. Today, is a 100% sailing day. We're not leaving the ship for anything today. So if we choose to go out on deck and it's sprinkling out, maybe we'll need the umbrella or put the parka on. But yeah, this.
You mentioned a little while ago that this is your last night on the ship. Does that mean you fly out tonight?
No,
you come home tonight?
no. Today we're having a full day on ship. We're not leaving the ship.
Oh, okay.
Today's we are 100% on the ship, staying here the whole time, and so the last 3 days we've been at ports of call each 3 days at a different port. One of the things I mentioned, we started our trip in Ketchikan, which was really neat, and that was, if you ever do an Alaska trip out here, I highly, highly recommend doing their Misty Fjords excursion. That was absolutely incredible. We didn't see any whales on that trip. That wasn't the purpose of the trip. The purpose was to see the Misty Fjords out in Ketchikan. And there is a national forest, and then there is a national memorial forest, and there's a difference. Your national forest is like a national park, like you have pretty much, in every state. But the national memorial forest, you can't do anything to it. They don't, you can't cut down trees, you can't put up, shelters. It's got to stay as pristine as possible, and but you can take boats into the fjords around that forest and experience that, which is what we did, which was just absolutely incredible. I forget what they said the size of the forest is. This is a temperate zone, which is, again, is one thing I hadn't really thought of. It's one of the largest temperate zone forests in the world. Basically meaning it's, you'd think it gets really cold up here in Alaska, so everything freezes, right? Well, no, the fjords don't freeze up. The water temperature gets really, really cold, but it stays cold all year, and it never really goes below like a freezing mark. So it's really something special, and it's really kind of cool to see all this stuff now up close and in person. And this has been a bucket list thing for my wife and I for a long time. So we're having a blast, so much so that last night after we got back onto the ship, we had more than one meal. It's a cruise, so you eat whenever you feel like eating, and most of the restaurants on board are part of the all-inclusive package of being on the ship. There's a few that you have to pay extra to be in. There's a few exclusive restaurants here. There's an exclusive area up on the 13th floor, I believe it is, and some other areas that are VIP exclusive, pay extra for type of things. But for the most part, the number of, and I forget how many people are on the ship, 2,000, 2,400, something like that. It's quite a few people. It might even be up to close to 3,000. But they have a huge, wonderful buffet, which they call the Garden Cafe, which every day has something different as its featured entree. But then there's all the stuff you can get on a daily basis, whatever you want. Oh gosh, guys, it is sunrise time here in Alaska. Look at that.
Oh, beautiful.
I hope you can get a little catch of this. I'm going to try to go out on deck if it's not raining. I don't think it's raining anymore.
How is it that Joann can see it, but I can't? Because you took me off of that thing. If I hit the join button, then I will be able to see it, but then it gets that double thing.
I don't know.
Maybe let's try this again.
I'm going to
try to erase the other.
Let me try this, Tom. I'm going to put my screen on maximize. Does that help you?
I think
no, it doesn't. I can see the water. Now I can see it all. But I can also hear my echo feedback. So when you cut me off earlier, try to cut the other one off instead of the one you did. Maybe that's what it is.
Well, just so you know now, you are on. Oh, I'm gonna take this one off because you're on here twice again, Tom. If I bump you off completely, let me know. All right, one of them is now off. So you still hear me?
He's gone.
Oh no. Turn that on, see if that works. Tom, are you there? I heard you for a split second.
He's lost in Alaska. You
Oh my
haven't
gosh.
seen any whales yet?
So we went on a whale excursion. Tom, I'm gonna let you go and bring it back on when you come back on. We did a whale excursion in Juneau, Alaska,
Okay.
2 days ago. So yes, we did see a whole bunch of humpback whales. There you are, Tom.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
There you go. Now I can hear you. We saw a whole pod of feeding humpback whales, probably anywhere from 6 to 9 whales altogether doing their thing. And in a very rare occasion, we actually saw an orca. And our tour guide was letting us know that, A, it's odd to see an orca on this trip that we were on because they're not there often. But B, we saw a lone orca. Usually it's the orcas that are in pods traveling together. This one apparently got separated from its pod or something. Its dorsal fin was actually curved, which is not a normal thing for a killer whale, for an orca. Usually that only happens when they're stressed or diseased or something. This one was all on their own and had a curved dorsal fin. And that you could tell he was very excited to see it because he's like, maybe once out of every 10 trips we might see an orca out here. So this is a really rare thing for everyone to see. And then we went out to another section of the bay and saw this large pod of humpback whales that don't normally get together. Humpback whales are normally loners until they all start to figure out that when they find one that knows how to bubble feed and that younger one learns how to bubble feed from the older one, and then as they all start to gather and say, oh, you're bubble feeding, I can help too, and they do this thing called bubble feeding where they circle up, they let out a bunch of bubbles out of their blowholes from down deep and like in a circle, and they trap a whole bunch of fish in the middle of all those bubbles. And once they get a whole bunch of fish in the middle of all those bubbles, they all start surfacing up and eating them up because they got to fatten up for their trip back to usually to the Hawaii area, where they mate for the season during the winter time. So during the summer, they're up here eating fish like crazy and fattening up. And then when they travel to Hawaii, they might not eat for months. They might not have anything to eat for like 3 months. And they live off the blubber and the fat that they put on and pack on while they're up here in the very, very fish-rich waters of Alaska. So it's really, really exciting. It's cool to see that happen. And our boat got pretty close to a pod. We took some videos and stuff, but it wasn't. There was like one instance where they were really close to the boat. Otherwise, they were close enough to see, but far enough that it was hard to get really good video or photos of. But anyway, that was a pretty awesome experience yesterday. Today, I'm going to go ahead and, as the sun is rising here, and see if I can take you up on deck. I have no idea if I'm going to cut out for you guys, so bear with me as we take a look outside. The deck is all really, really wet out here, but I don't think it's raining anymore. So let's see. Like I said, it's been so warm. It's been so warm. Last night we were walking around in my sleeveless gown, and I was just wearing a dress shirt and dress pants, and it was just so warm, so beautiful.
Yeah, it was 100. It was 103 here.
Oh gosh. Yeah, no, it got to like
Wow.
It's really windy up here, so I know that's going to affect what you can hear. Maybe I can block it with my body a little bit. Flip you around and take a look at some of these mountains on the other side of the ship. We should be heading northwest right now. So there's the west side of the ship, also known as the port side. If you ever tried to learn boating language, it's actually pretty easy to remember. The port side is the left side, both words. The starboard side is the right side. I don't know how you put that together, but the port side is the left side. Remember that letters. Let's see if we can take a look over here. But it's not raining. We sailed out of Vancouver, Canada. So we had to have our passports and go through customs. And thankfully, everything went really smooth because we only had a couple hours from the time of landing in Canada, getting to the port, and getting to the ship. We were pretty concerned about that because what if our weather's bad? What if we're delayed? It was raining in Vancouver when we got to Canada. By the way, if you want to play some giant checkers or chess, we got some giant checkers and chess going out here, shuffleboard. Surprisingly enough, no one's out here playing. It's very windy. I'm just wearing Packer pants. I've met quite a few Brewers and Packers fans while on the boat here. We're like, hey, nice sweat. I wear my Packers sweatshirt. So a lot of guys wearing Brewers hats. Hey, nice hat. All right, at the back of the ship where we've got basketball all encased in the middle. Try to get back inside so we can actually talk a little bit again. But look at these mountains. Every so often you'll see a salmon jump, a salmon exercising. We're going to trip up the river. And it's get to where they need to go to their side. So, salmon down against some areas where they're jumping around, exercising, trying to get ready for their big quest up the river. Let's see here. Got a place to go back inside. it's a little chilly today, but it's not wearing a coat. It's getting out after our sunrise. The overlook of the pool. It's been so cool. We spent some time in the pool, and there's been people up there in suits. Not just in the hot tubs, but also in the pools, sun deck and sun chairs, enjoying 65 plus degree weather, which just feels good. Sounds like there's not besides Florida, you guys had some nasty storms or something. Did you get something for you yesterday? All right, I need to go back inside. You probably can't hardly hear me talking with all this wind. That's a little bit better.
Yeah.
I'm still pretty shocked that we've got strong enough Wi-Fi that we're
Yeah, and Wi-Fi is actually pretty good.
worked into the game room here.
All right, so question,
Where's the
are
lot
you
less
on the Pacific Ocean or are you in like,
Yeah.
You're not like in the Bering Strait? That's way too far up, right? That'd be way too cold.
No, we're still
didn't-
considered to be in the Pacific Ocean.
Okay.
Hello, sunshine. There we go.
Wow, that's a nice background.
Quit calling me.
That's awesome. It's 5:30 a.m. here in Alaska.
I was wondering what time
It's been
it was.
hard. It's been a little hard to adjust to the time.
No
but,
wonder no one else is on deck.
Yeah, no, it's everyone's sleeping. Like I said, we were up pretty late last night having a lot of fun. There's a lot of entertainment areas. There's a comedian on the ship who's been pretty funny, Jay Stevens, who travels a lot of these cruise ships and does shows. There's a band from the Philippines here that's like a cover band. They're doing a lot of fun stuff. They've had a lot of different musicians on board in a lot of different areas of different family activities. Last night's comedy show that Jay put on was the adult comedy show. So it was a little more risque than the first show he did on the first night on board, where it was all family friendly, clean stuff. They have a deal with Deal or No Deal for Howie Mandel promotes it, but it's not Howie Mandel hosting it. One of the on board, the assistant cruise director hosts Deal or No Deal, where you can win a bunch of cash and people in the audience can play along with game cards and stuff.
Oh, cool.
They've got a karaoke superstar
Is there
competition
a realtor
going on, which
board?
I qualified for.
Is there a realtor?
There's this realtor.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, hey, how about trivia?
That-
Did they do
that-
trivia?
They've had some trivia, different types of trivia games that they've been putting on. Today they're doing a speed trivia game. One mistake will end your turn. Top 4 players will go on to compete in the Eliminator. So speed trivia is going on today as well. While you bring up real estate, thanks for the segue, Tom. I want to congratulate the Newburns on closing on their house this week, and thank my partner Laura for covering for me as I'm on vacation. This is a new construction purchase in the Belvedere area, so congratulations to the Newbergs on getting their new house, and it's beautiful. So very, very happy for them being able to close this week. Let's see, I'll put this up here in the corner. Little NCL logo, if that'll work. Are you going to work?
I see it.
It's just slow and getting there on my screen. Yeah. So besides being 100 degrees in the Rockford area, was there a storm yesterday?
Oh, big time. We had a big time storm last night. And I had a tree branch come down on the wires outside my house. Like far enough away. It was sparking and arcing like you wouldn't believe. It lit up the sky. We called the fire department.
Wow.
They came out and they said, we got to call ComEd for that. So they'll have to shut off the power to get the branch off of there. It was making that vibrating, fiery sound, like, you know. Oh,
Oh,
wow.
boy.
Yeah. That was weird. I mean, it lit up the
Well.
sky. And so we had quite a storm last night. The temperature was 92 or 93. The heat index was 103 at one point.
Yikes.
Yeah.
So cooling centers probably available in areas for those who need them.
Yeah.
Usually the
Supposed to
city
be
or Red
cooler
Cross or
this
something does that.
weekend. I think
Well,
in the
one good thing with the storm,
yeah,
hopefully it knocked out some of the heat.
brings down the heat. Yep.
Yeah. I just sent my screenshot of the screenshot I took yesterday. It said 90 degrees, but 103 for the actual
Eesh.
feels like, or whatever you call it. It's heat index, but it
Okay,
says feels
well,
like.
I'd check it out, but I'm afraid to leave this screen because I don't know what's going to go.
No, you're fine.
I don't know what's going to happen. We've been on over half an hour already, and that's just absolutely amazing to me that we've been able to make it this far. There's a little more of our sunshine, sunrise here
Beautiful.
in Alaska. My sense of direction is just all completely thrown off. Right now, if it wasn't for the sunrise, I would tell you I think we're going due east, but we're not. We're going northwest, and there's the sunrise in the east.
So where are
It was
you
still
heading to?
relative. Glacier
sorry.
Bay National Park, and
Oh,
we'll
okay.
end in Seward and fly back home out of Anchorage.
All right, so where do you sleep tonight?
Hopefully, in
But
the
we're on
boat.
board. We're on board. We're on board for the duration now. I think there's one more port of call stop for those who want to take an up close and personal excursion into the glaciers. That's not something that we signed up for, so I'm not exactly sure how that works. But our main ports of call are already done. We've already seen Ketchikan. We've been to Juneau, Alaska, which is the capital of Alaska, by the way. We saw Sarah Palin's house. We did.
You really?
And as you've probably heard already by now numerous times, no, you can't see Russia from her house. It was just a joke, but it was.
I was just going to bring that up. That's
just a joke. But it's close. It's close. The other cool thing about Juneau, Alaska, which I did not know, you can't drive to Juneau, Alaska. There's only 3 ways in to the city of Juneau, Alaska.
A boat,
I bet you can guess.
Swim.
A boat, yes. A plane, and I would put swimming in the same category as a boat. The third way would be birth canal. So those are the only 3 ways you can get into Juneau, Alaska.
Coach and birth canal.
Thanks to our tour operator for that joke. That was hilarious. One of our tour bus driver guides was a part-time stand-up comedian, and she was telling all kinds of jokes. I can remember that one. Think I can remember the other ones? Probably not. But we've had excellent guides at every port. And then yesterday in Skagway, the train ride that we took, highly recommend the White Pass train trip up over 2,000 feet. You leave from sea level, from where your ship is, you get on this train, and 45 minutes later, you're over 2,000 feet above sea level, looking at all these mountains and a couple of glaciers and waterfalls. We saw a bear. Yeah, it was pretty incredible, and to learn the history of how they built the thing. You definitely don't want to do it if you're afraid of heights, because there were some areas that the train went over, not just bridges, but on some cliffs where you can look out your window and straight down for hundreds and hundreds of feet. It's like, yeah, wow, this looks precarious. And then you hear the story of how they built it and such, and it's like, yeah, this is extremely precarious. So we're having a blast. The crew here is awesome, and today is going to be very interesting, learning all about glaciers here in the Glacier Bay National Park. Some of the things they're telling us today: please don't feed any animals or seagulls. They don't want the birds to become dependent on any source of food other than the ones that they hunt for themselves.
Makes sense.
You don't want any paper items out on the deck because they will fly away. Yeah, don't feed the animals. We're gonna have park rangers on board today to discover everything. You hear what?
No, I was side talked about a cat. Sorry.
Oh, you got.
We had a little
I
cat on.
had to shut your camera off since I wasn't getting video from you, Joanne. I just went ahead and shut your camera off, just let your audio on.
That's same with me then,
Because
right?
it didn't make sense to bring it. Yeah. I just went ahead and shut off the. I don't know if I could get a good shot here of our game room.
All
We've
right.
got a bunch of games: Monopoly, checkers, Pictionary, Jenga. My wife and I play checkers once in a while, but I can't win. She beats me checkers, and when we play cards, when we play gin, she wins 9 out of 10 times every time. When we play checkers, she wins 9 out of 10 times. So at some point I just give up.
Sure, why not?
Hello, you're fine. So let's see here. We're not getting any. We haven't gotten any room service yet. There's a room service option for our rooms. We haven't done that. Is anybody in the library? Let me see if there's anybody there.
Now,
There is
when you go down to the restaurant and you want to order breakfast, whatever, does it cost you or is that all included?
So there we go. So on board the ship here, nobody's in the library right now, so I can talk. On board the ship, there's a bunch of stuff that's included. That's complimentary. There is a large buffet with anything you could ever want to eat, pretty much, and a different special every night. What was last night? Last night was like Oriental stuff. So they had,
Chow mein.
gosh, I remember. Yeah, we
rolls.
actually ended up eating at the Oriental restaurant last night, so we could have a sit-down meal and not have and be served rather than serve ourselves, which was we've been to a couple different restaurants on board. There's a couple restaurants here. Turn back over here to the sunrise for a minute. A couple of the restaurants here, you do have to pay extra for.
Oh, okay.
But there's so many complimentary places to eat that we haven't taken advantage of any of the ones that you have to pay extra to eat at.
I was going to say,
yeah,
how
so
do they
there's
make
all
the
these
money?
different-
I think most people would opt for the free food.
Yeah, and most people do.
Yeah.
But if you want a more exclusive situation, you get the opportunity to go and eat at one of the other restaurants. Same with some of the other amenities that are on board. There is a upper deck balconies and such that you can pay extra for to be on a balcony. We chose a room with at least a window so we could see out onto the ocean as we were traveling along, but it's just a porthole. It's not very big, but we can at least see the water. The mornings that I've gotten up early, just sat up and watched out the porthole. I've seen some whales do some breaching and stuff, but they're not that close. So I was bringing up room service because Hotel.com have a room service report, and they revealed some of the more unusual requests from guests as shared by their hotel staff members. The booking platform Hotels.com did a survey among over 470 hotels in 10 different countries, and they had some very odd requests. For example, guests asking for bottles of diet water.
Diet water.
Yeah, please bring to my room some diet water.
Wow.
Goofy. I really, really would like some melted ice cream. Can you bring me some melted ice cream?
Here's your glass of milk.
Right? What? I don't know. Boiled bottled water. Why would somebody ask for boiled bottled water?
I think what they're asking for is water that has been purified, boiled, purified, whatever. That first one though, I'm sorry, I don't buy it. I think somebody was probably taking license there and inferred something they shouldn't have. Diet water. Nobody on the planet could be that stupid. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. Maybe
I think that's where you're wrong, Tom.
maybe.
Diet
You need to get out in public a little more, because there's some people.
I suppose.
Boiled bottled water. I wonder if maybe they had a package of ramen noodles or something that they wanted to boil up, and they didn't want to boil their own water. So bring me a bottle of boiled water so I can get my ramen noodles prepared. I don't know. And finally, a rice bowl for their dog. Did you order a rice bowl for your dog?
I don't know.
I'm not sure that room service can do that for you.
Now he barks with a Chinese accent.
That's right. Speaking of that, the number of languages we've heard on the ship is pretty impressive. There's a large in Vancouver. There's a large Chinese population. There's a lot of Asians. I think a lot of our Chinese, Vietnamese. What was the other nationality that was Filipino?
Yeah.
There's a lot of the ship staff. Probably a greater majority, somewhere in the 60%, maybe even higher than that, of the ship staff is Filipino. This ship, the Norwegian Jewel, is actually based out of the Bahamas in Nassau. Mm-hmm. The cruise director, she is Filipino. She's doing an excellent job, and a couple of the bands are Filipino. Most of the workers that we've had the pleasure of interacting with in the restaurants and around the ship, the photographers, the desk workers, the majority seem to be Filipino, and they're wonderful, and we're having just a great time. Everyone's been very, very, very supportive and happy to be on vacation. Obviously, there's that.
Yeah.
But they're doing a nice job with entertainment and helping everybody out. There's been a couple times when I've been a little bit less than thrilled with some of the communication. They put out these daily things called Freestyle Daily that tells you everything that's happening on the ship, and usually they're very thorough as to what is happening. The first couple of editions of this, though, the first couple of days being on the ship, I felt it was a little bit lacking in details as to where to go and what to do. One of the first things we went to was, like I mentioned, Deal or No Deal is one of the game shows you can go to. So we went to go see it, and when we got there, there's two levels where you can enter the theater. So you either enter from deck 7 or from deck 6. And at the time, we had walked through the casino. There's an onboard casino. We walked through the casino and entered the theater through deck 6 and went and took our seats about, 15, maybe 20 minutes before the show started. So we were just going to relax for a little bit before the show started. And then people started walking in with these cards to be able to play along with the game show that was going to take place on the stage. And if you had a card, there was a number on the card where if they called that number, you got to come up on stage and participate. We're like, well, where are these cards? We didn't even see any. So by the time we figured out that they were only available to the deck 7 people that entered through deck 7, we went up there to try to get one, and they were all sold out. So we were just spectators, and it was fun, but it would have been nice to have a card to play along. So that was a little bit confusing, and they got that on the sheet today. They're going to play another round of Deal or No Deal, and they're making it very specific that you must get your card on deck 7 in the entrance there. So if we can make it for that.
People too.
Yeah, because it's like, I didn't see any cards, but there were other people disappointed too because they got there like 5 minutes before 7, thinking they were still going to get one of these cards, and they were already all sold out, and they were selling them, so it wasn't free. There's a couple different cruises making headlines this summer, cruises that sail the 7 seas, like the one we're on right now, and the movie star who drives motorcycles off cliffs. Have you seen the video? Yeah. There was a video recently going around of Tom Cruise doing his own stunt for the Mission Impossible movie, I think they said 7 times to get the shot right. He drove a motorcycle off this cliff, and of course he free falled for a long time and then pulled a parachute. But he did the stunt himself. And what is he? 59 years old.
No, he's 61.
Yeah, so he was in the news a little bit.
Just turned 61 on July 3rd.
Okay. The guy's pretty amazing. Major cruise lines, on average, before the pandemic, they were making an estimated $291 in profit per passenger. So their margins are fairly tight when you look at the cruise lines. They're not. I mean, yeah, they're making decent money, but they're when it comes to food and excursions and safety and all the other things that they've got to do, there's a lot of expenses involved too. So the average pre-COVID was $291 in profit per passenger per cruise. Haven't heard what it's been at now, but obviously travel is picking up big time and things are doing a lot better in the cruise industry. Before we get to our big number of the week this week and wrap things up, anything you guys want to share shout out wise? I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover today. Thanks for hearing me brag about my vacation.
Oh no, this has been an education, because I want very badly to, one, take a cruise, but two, an Alaskan cruise. I that's been on my bucket list for a long time. But I have one thing that I wanted to bring up.
No, I was going to say it will be a trip you will never forget. It's like out of this world. Yeah. I don't know how to describe it.
The mountains and everything.
Yes.
I mean, when I say the Majestic Pass and Majestic Fjords thing was amazing, it was even better than what we're seeing right now. It was just so cool. Yeah, it's something else. It's just really something.
Funny thing is,
my favorite were the puffins. Have you seen any puffins?
I don't know. Maybe we'll see them today here in the Glacier Bay National Park.
Those are like, what? This is real? They're the most unusual bird I've ever seen.
Huh. Wow.
No, go to Alaska, Tom. It's great.
I will. I absolutely will. That has been on my bucket list for a long time. So, but Greg, I wanted to say one thing regarding Aaron Rodgers. Did you see that Aaron Rodgers actually gave back, I want to say $31 million to the Jets, restructured his contract. Instead of making $100 million over 2 years, now he's going to make, I don't know, 69 million or something like that.
The pressure's on.
Well, no, here's the thing. You were not a team player in Green Bay, which was why they put you up on the chopping block. It's like, yeah, fine, we'll trade him. And they did a good job with it because they ended up getting something for him. I hope he does well in New York. I don't hate Aaron Rodgers, but he wasn't a team player. And that was one thing that I think made a lot of people angry this week. Is that, well, you couldn't have done that in Green Bay. We could have kept Devontae. We could have, that team was just inches away from a Super Bowl for 5 or 6 years in a row. And you couldn't have done that in Green Bay. Instead, you're going to point the finger and blame everyone else.
Right.
That they're not stepping up. The receivers aren't doing their routes, running routes properly. Well, because you're not working with them.
No.
Moron. Anyway.
No,
that's all I was going to say.
He definitely, I think, is feeling the pressure to succeed in New York, and he wants to go out with a bang. So whatever it is he's seeing there is telling him he needs a little bit more talent to make it work. So, yeah.
Well, and the other thing is I think it's a legacy move for him. I think he didn't want to go there and have the same thing leveled at him like, well, yeah, Aaron Rodgers had all the money. That's why we made it to, round 2 of the playoffs, but we couldn't go any further because Aaron Rodgers had all the money and we didn't have enough money to get something. So you're right, in a sense. That's kind of exactly what it is. He's looking out for Aaron Rodgers more than anything else.
It's like a boxing match.
What an incredibly selfish.
His career's like a boxing match. It doesn't matter how the middle of the rounds go. And all that matters is how you start and how you finish. So
Yeah, that's
if
true.
he finishes well,
That is
he'll
true.
be remembered well. Anyway, he'll be remembered well anyway for his talent. But yeah, great as far as his contract in Green Bay. Yeah, that's definitely something that he chose not to really do, and now that he's choosing to do it, it's kind of, I guess it's not surprising. I'm not really surprised about that.
Yeah. Mark Murphy did say at some point in the future, I don't know if it's going to be this year, probably not this year, they're going to bring him back and retire his number.
Oh yeah, I mean Mark Murphy's just being completely honest and realistic that of course you're going to retire Aaron Rodgers' jersey. I mean, look at his numbers. His efficiency numbers, his quarterback rating, 4 MVPs while a Packer. I mean, come on, it's for sure he's going to.
Yeah, 1 Super Bowl victory. Don't ever forget that. You know,
number 12 will be up on the Ring of Honor there at Lambeau. Probably in I'm gonna estimate in about 7 years, maybe 8.
Oh no, a lot sooner than that.
I think
the minute he announces his retirement, that next year he'll be back. I think if he has a really bad year with the Jets this year, he'll announce.
You're right. I was thinking Canton. I wasn't thinking Hall of Fame. You're right. The Ring of Honor, he'll be up there within a couple of years, not 5.
Oh yeah. Canton will be probably 7 years.
Right.
7 years, because he's got to go 5 years after he retires.
That's right.
And I think this will be the end of this year or the end of next year for sure. He's done.
Well,
so 7 years or 6.
Let's put a bow on this thing and wrap things up. Big number of the week time. This hour has flown by. Thanks so much for hanging out and joining us here on this crazy, wacky edition of the Saturday Morning Stateline Show. Big number of the week this week is 5,600. All right.
That was interesting.
That was unintended. What was I going for?
I don't know. You said the big number was 56, and then that cut off. So 56, not a big number. Do you mean 56 million?
No, there we go. 7,900. There we go. You see it now?
No.
There it is. 70.
But I did. There it is. There it is.
All right. 7,900. The answer is Caribbean or Cameo, Joann.
Okay.
Caribbean or Cameo. Tom already sent me his guess, and there it is. What is your guess? 3, 2, 1, go.
I'll go with Cameo.
Okay. Tom also went with Cameo. As I mentioned, I'm on the
doing that lately. They win or lose together.
I know.
Yeah. That's right.
I'm on the Norwegian cruise lines.
Team United.
The only other cruise line I've ever been on is Royal Caribbean. That was a cruise that we took to my son's dance team. Got invited to dance on a Caribbean cruise, on a Royal Caribbean cruise that we went down to Jamaica and Grand Cayman, which was 18 years ago already. What? But anyway, Royal Caribbean recently announced plans to debut the world's biggest cruise ship. They're going to launch this thing in January. It's a little over 1,200 feet long, which by comparison, the boat I'm on right now is like 995 feet long. The Royal Caribbean, I don't got the name of it, but it's going to accommodate over 5,600 guests and over 2,300 crew members. 7,900 people will be able to fit on this new cruise liner that's debuting in January. So, sorry guys, no points for you this week. Cameo is that company that offers personalized video shout-outs from celebrities. They've had some hard times. They're not making as much money as they were thinking they were going to make. They even have recently offered up the voice of Pumbaa from Lion King for less than $30. If you want to send somebody a Cameo video message, wishing them happy birthday or something from Pumbaa, You can do it for less than $30. The company at one time employed about 400 people. Now they're down to less than 50 people on staff. So if you have been waiting for prices to come down on Cameo, you want to have Brett Favre maybe give a Cameo message to someone that you really care about. Just saying. It probably wouldn't cost you as much as it did when it first started. So anyway, there you go.
Wow.
There's your big number of the week. And that's been our hour. Did you enjoy your time?
It did go by quick.
I'm
gonna see if I can end.
I enjoyed my pseudo Alaskan cruise.
Well, I
Tomorrow,
appreciate you guys for. I'm totally appreciative that you guys are willing to even attempt to jump on, knowing that my Wi-Fi might not work, and I'm just thrilled that it actually did. We're gonna leave you with some Alaskan sunrise and a little bit of lounge music, and remind you folks, you change the world when you help one person. So be a blessing to someone today. We'll try to do the same. Meet you back here next week for another Saturday Morning Stateline Show.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
See you guys.
Bye, sunshine. That'd be Carlos. Carlos, danger. We don't need no stinking bat.